I'm sick and tired of people telling me what I do is not profitable. It's very profitable, and it's more profitable than just the money. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Welcome to the Commonwealth cabin. I'm a little off today. Well, let me tell you what, I'll just explain it like this. Today's title of this video is I'm sick and tired. And it's got 3 different meanings to it. I thought when I sat down this morning, I was like, man, I can't do this. I literally am sick and I'm tired. And I don't know what's been going, well, I do know what's been going on. I'll talk about that. But then 2 other topics that I had on my list of things I wanted to talk about was burnout, being literally sick and tired of doing what you're doing. And I rarely experience that. And I really haven't, even at this point. I'm dealing with something a little different. And then another issue that I wanted to talk about was, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to get into that one pretty quick. Let's go check out what's selling today. These dogs today, watch this. This is Poncho, and that's what he does. Oh, you dropped the ball. Watch this. Go back and get that ball. Y'all were fighting over it before. There you go. All right, I already had to sit down. Whew. Look, first off, I have been under the weather. Like, I have not been maybe one time since I quit my job way back. That was the day I decided to quit my job, February 17th, 2021. I did quit my job a little bit later, in May, I guess, in 2021. And I have been fortunate enough to not get sick during that whole time. I've dealt with back pain, I've dealt with stuff like that, but to not really get sick. And that kind of ended for me. And I got sick. Matter of fact, Turner, you might remember from the last video, I said Turner wasn't feeling well. And then not long after, Reagan was in that video, not long after Reagan wasn't feeling well, and it wasn't good. And then I got sick, and now Blue Ridge Mama is up in bed, and I did not think I was going to be able to film this video today, but thank goodness about halfway through the day I started to feel much, much better. It's only one, maybe 48 hours, and my body was aching. I'm not saying this to complain. I'm saying this to make a point throughout this video, because there's a lot of folks out there who do this and depend on this income that, man, it's made me rethink things a little bit. I'm like, wow. I know I'm getting a little older. I'm not exactly old yet, but like maybe I should get disability insurance. Maybe I should get, whatever, this kind of stuff, because if this was a long-term thing for me, this would mean a lot of money down the drain. And, that money's got to keep coming in when you're a reseller. Even on social media, I had no drive whatsoever, which reminded me of the other topic, which was a friend of mine. Resale to Ride, they've got a YouTube channel. They did a burnout video. And I was like, man, I'm very fortunate to not experience reseller burnout. I was mad, I was angry when I was sick that I could not do the things that I typically do because I wanted to do them. And I felt good enough here to come down and do this video. You have to forgive me because we're going to just do the bare minimum today because I got to make sure my wife's okay. And the dogs, I'm happy. The dogs have been by her side all day long. I did not think they would come down here. But then the third part of this topic is really what this video was going to be about without all those other things, but it tied in pretty well. I've got a lot of connections in the reselling world, in the social media world, and I get phone calls from people with opportunities all the time. I love them. I appreciate them. But sometimes they come in and it's like, why would you not want to do this? You could make so much money doing this or doing that. And they got into the reselling things, and this is how do I say this? They're not going to be offended I'm doing this video. Let's just put it that way. And so I'm perfectly okay with talking about this, and they would be too. I think there's a lot of folks out there who only see one thing in life. They're driven for money, they're driven for whatever, and most of us, we got to make money, so don't think of it, that way. But there are some things in reselling that I simply don't want to do, and I've always shied away from those channels that are like, this is where the opportunity is, this is what everybody's doing. If you're selling $15 items, $10 items, you're dumb, and this and that, and that's kind of the way it was going. And I'm like, I like to sell what I sell. Matter of fact, in the time I had today, I had to clean out my dad's Jeep because I need to give that Jeep back to them. And I was pulling stuff out of there, and I'm like, normally I'd put this over on Dibdit and whatever, but I like this. I want it sitting on my shelf. I want to sell this $9 item on eBay. I don't care. I just want to do it. And I want to talk about that because there's so many people out there who are just resellers because they want to be, because they enjoy it. And some people who are resellers because they have to be, maybe not have to be, but because they want to make $1 million or whatever, those people sometimes can get under the skin of folks that don't want to do it, that don't want a life like that. And I want to talk to those folks out there who are just resellers because they love it, because they need an extra $500 a month, and they want to make $1,000 because it's really fun. Big shout out to Jess, by the way. She came in today. I didn't think she was going to come in. I think she came in because she knew I wasn't feeling well, and Blue Ridge Mama wasn't feeling well either. And brought her boy over, kept Turner occupied because he's feeling better now. And look what she did, y'all. This was the live selling stuff that needed to be shipped. She handles all the live. By the way, that really ties into what I'm talking about too in burnout. I didn't take on live selling by myself because I know it's not the number one thing that brings me the most amount of joy, and I love to do it. If something had to fall by the wayside, that would be the first thing that would fall by the wayside, and we'd pick it back up later. I brought her in to help, and we make much smaller margins because it's live selling, and we have to pay her overhead, but we're making margins on top of margins that we're already making and growing on eBay. And I think that that is a definite, too many irons in the fire is a real thing. So when I put another iron in the fire, I usually bring on help to put that iron in the fire, or at least to maintain it and make sure it's running properly. After all, there's only so many hours in the day, and most of you out there work. Some of you are retired, some of you maybe on some kind of pension or some kind of disability or something, and you do a little bit. This is a large Rolling Thunder Washington, D.C. Harley t-shirt. My dad bought a ton of t-shirts. It was awesome. And when I was gone watching Turner's tournament one day, and we sold them all off on Dibdit Threads, and we averaged like $9 a piece for them, and we paid just over $1 a piece for them. And that was pretty good. But we did list a couple, and they had tags on them. Like, let's just list that over there. And we paid for the lot in the 2 sales of the 2 t-shirts. And then all of that other stuff became profit. And I still get to do what I do and focus on eBay and still profit off the live selling. $28.45 for that one, plus shipping. I guess we'll talk about first the last few days for me, and not to talk about my woes and not feeling well necessarily, but more or less to talk about, I think this is what I want right here. Is this it? No, that's not it. There it is right there. Danielle. But more to talk about, folks out there who get sick, who have had long-term illnesses, who might get cancer, might get whatever, and how it affects. Because I'm just looking at a 48-hour period, and it took a toll on me and my business. This is Danielle Hyaluronic Acid. Lift and Firm Face and Neck Cream. I hear from Tina, Dave's wife, look for that stuff. So I picked it up for $1 down in Peaches to Beaches in Georgia. And it sold for $19 plus shipping. Now I was fortunate that this didn't happen to me like on a Friday or a Saturday. It happened later, thank goodness, because sourcing is a huge part of what we do. Matter of fact, Fridays I rarely get to source on a Friday. Rarely. Most of my sourcing, almost everything I buy, or at least in the past, has been from Saturday garage sales, and that's it. There's very, very few opportunities to source outside of those days for garage sales. I know there's a lot of people who live in places where they're going out Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. There's not much of that around here, and sometimes there's not much on Saturdays. And that is kind of what led to that phone conversation with somebody who's like, I know you live in an area, it's a little harder to source the way you like to source, so here's these opportunities. First of all, there are plenty of opportunities around here to source in non-traditional ways, and I've tapped into them a little bit. And I will probably keep tapping into them a little bit. But I won't do it in a way that will change the way that I do business, because I really, really like the way I do business. And part of the way I do business is selling $15 items, $10 items. I don't really care. So when you keep things small, you keep things controllable. I know you're coming in. All right, I'll get you a treat. You're not letting other people down, and that's part of why I say no to a lot of things. Although I do partner with people, and I love to partner with people, but they got to be the right people. RC Cola, y'all, keep selling these, $22 plus shipping. So in a matter of hours, I was just in terrible shape. I was so weak. Normally I'm up early, I'm working, I love what I do, and I keep going, and I couldn't do anything. I mean, it was all I could do to get up and go into the kitchen, go to the bathroom, go sit on the couch, and then it's like, whew, okay, let's go back to bed. It was bad. I don't know what, 48-hour flu, 24-hour flu, I don't know what it was, but my body was sore. I mean, even right now, as stupid as this sounds, my arm is weak from holding the stupid camera up. I'm like, huh, man. And I'm so thankful that I can do, my wife at the time was feeling well. Now she's feeling terrible, so I'm trying to pick up the slack for her. But there's a lot of folks out there who get sick, much worse than this, for much longer. And if you are in complete control of your business, it makes me rethink. And people always tell me, get that SKU system so somebody can find this stuff and whatever. And I'm like, well, if I'm so bad off I can't even tell them where something is, then maybe they're right. But it does make you think a little bit. And I tell you what, without Jess being able to come by, matter of fact, she took Turner tonight. Turner's over at her house. I'm like, well, that was very nice of her. But our business is still rolling on the live side. She's got live shows scheduled and ready to go for the rest of this week and stuff. And it's like, wow, I'm glad I did it this way. And I'm glad I pick and resell the way I pick. Just because of, well, not just because, it's because I like it. But if you're somebody out there who gets sick and tired of people telling you not to sell that $10 item because you're wasting your time, look, I've run the numbers 100 times. Yes, it might not be the absolute best thing. They're like, why don't you just pick up $50 items? I'm like, man, if I only picked up $50 items, I wouldn't find many items around here. It just wouldn't, I mean, let's see, look at this. What'd I say this was, 29 bucks? 19 bucks, 22 bucks. So you tell me none of these are worth picking up. At the end of today, and this will be an abbreviated video, I might run the numbers again and just tell you, I don't think I have a $50 item in this day. Nope, I do. I have one. My business would have to change drastically if I didn't do anything but pick up $50 items. And I think that's foolish. Not everybody is trying to make $200,000 a year reselling. And selling these type of items on a regular basis, as long as they have a decent sell-through rate, is not a terrible model. And it is a great model for a lot of people. Now, hopefully people don't misconstrue this. I'm not saying that having a model like I just described for somebody else isn't the best model for them. There are people I know who pick in places where they can find 10 to 15 $50 items and above not every day, but garage sailing and some thrift stores, I see it. And for those people, I get it. And so for that counsel to come to me and to come to folks like you here, I get it. I don't blame people for doing it. I just wish people would realize that everybody has a different purpose. Everybody has a different meaning for their own happiness and the way they do things. And it's not for everybody. What you do is not for everybody. And I wish there was a nice way to say it to people, but I guess this is my nice way to say it to people. I'm sick and tired of people telling me what I do is not profitable. It's very profitable, and it's more profitable than just the money. It's more profitable to my mind, to my psyche, to my family. I had somebody tell me the other day, you source so good down in Florida. You source, why don't you go down there once a month or whatever? I'm like, because I like my family. Because Turner plays baseball in the spring. Because I like to see Reagan at gymnastics. Because my wife doesn't want me gone all the time. But I like to travel. I like to go around and source. I'm going to continue to do that. But I'm not going to do it 25% of the year. And that goes to, well, let me pull this next item. I said this video would be short and I'm already yapping like crazy. See, I get passionate, All right, men's medium. So I sold a pair the other day, but they were a different type of Titleist gloves. I think we sold them for $20 plus shipping. I paid $1 a piece for these, so we bought 4. Already made a sale for $20. This is $25. So $4 into $45 plus shipping. Using the model that I had a friend tell me the other day that works for them and I should be doing it, and this is how you do it, and it only takes this much travel, and it only takes this. I was like, I don't want to travel like that. I want to be home on Sundays. That's all. Okay. Any rate, $4 into $45 plus shipping. 2 different orders. Not that big of a deal. But, how much profit is in that, y'all? 45 to 4. Let's say, I don't know, $25, $30 profit in that? In 2 little sales like that? And none of these are over that. We've already made, let me do some quick math. All right, this might not be perfect, but this is $65 in net profit after all expenses are paid. Let's go back to this real quick. I calculated this out the day after, and we didn't have all the shipping prices, but I got the 2 on the 2 big ones. So I made, after cost of goods, after paying Jess, and after all the shipping and fees and all this stuff in here, I made $161 profit on that. It looks like a lot of stuff to make $161 profit. This is live selling stuff. And the margins are definitely tighter. However, the only time I put into this was sourcing it. A little bit of sorting it, but Jess does most of that. I just happened to help her out a little bit that day. And I did an hour and 15 minute show. So I'm into that for maybe 2.5 total if you count the sourcing, for goodness sake. 2.5 total. And making, that's like $75 an hour, and I'm doing very little work. And if truth be told, that wasn't the best show in the world. And I think 6 of my last 8 shows have been really, really good, where I've been making with all the time that I put into it. I chart it, but not every show, because it takes time to chart it, then you're wasting time. I've been making close to $100 an hour in live selling, and that's with paying Jess. And I don't pay her. I mean, I don't want to tell you what I pay her, I guess. Should I? Should I tell you what I pay her? I don't know why I hide it. I feel like it's her business, so I shouldn't be saying it. But that's after paying her. And that's an add-on to my business, and it doesn't take many hours away from what I do. So I know that doesn't go to the whole thing about, you know, why do you sell such cheap items or whatever. First of all, we sell a lot of really good items. And I don't mind adding on to it with these type of items. I mean, that's not a bad sale. I mean, come on. That's good money for the time you put into stuff. But it goes to the people who criticize the live sellers too. That gets under my skin. I see live sellers selling things for 30-40% of eBay value, and they love it, and they're making a killing because they can do it so much faster and turn it over and get it in, get it out, turn over. And I don't think it's fair to judge those people either, because it's not your model. I see people do it on a daily basis. I have friends that do it. At the same time, it's also not our job to tell people, you got to go live sell. It might not be their model. It might not be what they want to do, for goodness sake. There are so many different ways to do this stuff that it just gets under my skin that people have the audacity to say, this is the right way to do it, and this is how you should do it, and anybody who does it different is stupid. Well, that's stupid. And this reminds me of something else. As I just double-checked, and Bonanza, which I quit. I thought I quit, but I didn't really quit. Then I was still back on there, and then I had credits. Long story. You got to go back and watch the other videos. And I looked on there, and there were 3 sales from Bonanza. And I was like, man, if I had a dime for every time somebody told me to start selling on this site or stop selling on this site, or you should sell on these and not these, or you should only do one, or you should niche down, or you shouldn't niche down, or whatever. That's when I started to get into all this. I'm like, I think niche down selling is amazing. I think the people that do it can kill it, can crush it. I've seen it. At the same time, there are different circumstances for everybody. And that was a thing a few years back. It was like, you better niche down or you're going to get run over. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And people do this for different reasons, for different amounts of money, and that's just not the case. And different territories where you live makes a big difference. And I was like, no, there is no dogma here that you're going to have to put on people. There could be some things like, you know, if you take pictures, you should do it this way. Okay, fine. But to insult folks who make, you know, just a little bit of money every year or every month, every week, because it's doing something they love, and they only want to go to the thrift stores, or they only want to go to garage sales, or they only do estate sales. There's different areas of this country who are better suited for those things, and there are some people who simply don't need to make as much as all these wizards of smart who do need to make that, or are driven to make that. I'm driven. I'm very driven. But I'm not going to sit here and tell people this is the way you got to do it, because I see so many people do it 50 different ways and succeed. And success is definitely different for everybody. This is a Major League bin, even though this is a minor league hat. This one's easy to pull out. This was a Bonanza sale. I might just tell you the other two because I don't think I need to ship them out today, and I'm trying to just do what I have to do today. This is Asheville Tourists, I believe. Yep, and minor league hat. I bought this down at Peaches to Beaches, not even this year, last year. And it finally sold just under $25 plus shipping out. Sold on Bonanza. It also looks like I sold a Liberty University hat for $19.20, but the next one has got me a little worried here because this doesn't happen. It's only happened to me one time that I can recall, because there's a connection between eBay and Bonanza that automatically lists and delists items that I list on eBay. And I look through and everything looks straight, but this item, I swore I sold this thing 2 years ago. It's a Sylvania Thunderbird radio. I remember picking it up, and I remember being happy with the sale because of how quickly it sold. And it sold for $173.25. So I went to eBay Terapeak, and I found that item, and it was more than 2 years ago that I sold it. I sold it for a little less, actually. 166 something. So something funny has happened with this item on Bonanza. And that's the reason I'm on Bonanza, is because there's no extra work. It automatically uploads what you have in your eBay store, and it automatically takes it down when it sells in Bonanza and takes it off of the eBay store. But if that's not in place, then I'm out completely. I don't care how many Bonanza coins I have. Had to go inside, and the dogs are back. How's your mama doing up there? She hasn't called me. She hadn't told me she needed any help. Reagan's up there helping her out. Some Harley-Davidson chaps. These are extra small, and they're extra hard to sell. Think about that. You have to take people's advice, you know. Don't sell unless it's whatever amount. But when you come across a giant lot of something like this that you can make money on, even though it's a harder, slow sell-through rate item, we've made tons of money on the Harley stuff we bought. And this sold for $22.95 plus shipping. The dogs are going nuts here. They need some activity. Turner is not here to run them around. He literally runs them around the yard. And Reagan could do that, I suppose, but neither me or my wife are going to be doing that today. We're taking them for a walk. So they're just wrestling with each other. But I'm going to do something at the end of this video because I've sold nothing. And the one thing that's crazy good money, I've already sold that. There's no way. It showed up on the Terapeak thing and whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had my preference, I would sell awesome, cool stuff that I love that's worth $200. That's what and I'd pay $10. But that's just not realistic. I'm actually purposely going to start listing stuff, again, that is low dollar. That's super easy, that I like sitting on my shelves. Just to say, hey, look, there are people out there who don't need, you know, I said this 100 times. I didn't make a ton of money teaching. When I quit in 2021, my highest yearly salary teaching was $42,000 a year. And that was the highest, and I had been teaching for 21 years. Now, there's been a lot of inflation since then, so that would be really tough to survive on. But, you know, even in a day like this that's very slow, I'm only shipping what has to go out today. You know, I'm going to total up the numbers and then compare that to my teaching salary. Some people just simply don't need that much. They don't need the trouble. They don't need all the other stuff that goes with it. And personally, you know, if you're going to be giving advice out there, then at least couch it with the people that need this, or you know, with some kind of context out there. Because if you don't, then the people who, you know, comparison is the thief of joy, right? You know, you see all these big numbers out there, and I guess I'm guilty of this too, because I said I wanted to sell $250,000 this year. And that was in live selling and in static eBay type selling, although I sell statically on different places, and we've sold statically on our other marketplaces. So maybe I'm guilty of this, but I don't think I am if people watch regularly, because there's a massive amount of sellers out there that do things in a way that fits their lifestyle. And I think it's a little bit irresponsible for somebody to go on social media or somebody to tell people directly, you're wasting your time. Well, with all due respect, you don't know what my time is worth. You don't know what my peace of mind is worth. And my peace of mind is worth far more than many people's dollar amounts for how much they should be making to make this quote-unquote worth it. You guys are really, really wanting that treat, aren't you? I know you want a treat because he knows if he gets in that chair, he gets a treat, which I guess I got to get. Listen, I remember picking this up just a couple weeks ago. And I remember when I was picking up, I'm like, man, some people are going to say something in the comments like, what a waste of time or whatever. And I was like, forget them. I don't care. This was something I was going to offer to my dad. He didn't want it. Baba Black Sheep. This is the Black Sheep Squadron Volume 1 seal. It was $1 at a sale. And I knew it wouldn't sell for much. It did sell, though. $14 free shipping. So let's do the math on that one. After shipping and fees and all that, I'm going to make a little bit more than $5 on that. Is that not worth your time? Is it not worth picking up? For me, because it was nostalgia, because I know my dad watched this with my dad growing up all the time. I enjoyed the show. He might want it. That's well worth it to me. It's literally put it on the table, snap a picture, 2 pictures if you want. A lot of times people put way too many pictures. And we'll talk about time, if you're putting 24 pictures in a listing. This was, something that we could list in just a few pictures. And the comps are super simple. You just steal one, make it live. Takes you literally a minute. I'm talking about this longer than it took me to pick it up, buy it, list it, and ship it. I've been talking longer than that will take. And that's $5. So I don't know. That translates to $60 an hour to me. Actually, probably a little bit more. Well worth it to me. And then, of course, some people might say, but you got to factor in how much time it took out there. You had to drive out there. You had to source. You had to do whatever. Well, listen, I'm out there anyways trying to find those $200 items, and we found some that day. I'm doing it anyways. So to me, if you want to take the cost of going out and sourcing down a little bit, that's an easy way to do it right there. I bought a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit that morning. I paid for it with that, right? So it takes that cost down. You're also getting mileage and tax return and stuff like that. So, who's to say that's not worth it? I'll tell you who's to say. The person who picks it up. That's it. It might be worth it to them. They might not be able to pick up big things. They might not be able to go out and hit 50 sales on a Saturday. They might only be able to get out and do whatever. It's up to that person to say that. Here's another low dollar sale, but this was in a big bundle. So everything's already been done, but the listing, right? I'm not going to be able to find it. It's just a little lens here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Jess already put these out for me. She knew I was struggling today. She came in here and took them out and put them here for me. Big thank you to Jess. All right, here we go. This is just a little Sony lens. It didn't go for much, but it sold for $11.21 plus shipping. So let's tie this topic up really quick because I do want to get to the last thing, which is burnout, and it ties all this stuff together. I mentioned before that my goal was on eBay static listing to sell $150,000 a year. So my model requires me to buy stuff very, very cheap because I want to make, think about my salary. I just mentioned that. If I can sell $150,000 a year on eBay, with my margins, because I buy pretty cheap, and I don't buy quite as cheap as I used to, but I definitely buy cheap, where I can get my margins sometimes up to 60% of that money coming in. I try to anyways. All right, I forgot to give him a treat. Give me a minute, y'all. That's another reason I can't go sourcing all over the country. I normally make you sit, and I didn't, but I'm in a hurry. I don't want to miss these pups. I can miss the cats, though. That'd be fine. So just to take that number, which that's our goal, I think we're going to hit it. We're doing okay, although days like the last couple have really put us, it gets a little tough. I did feel good enough yesterday for about an hour to list a bunch of stuff, so hopefully the next video. We might do shorter videos this week. Might do 4 instead of me, plowing through a whole ton so I can handle the shipping. This is all easy stuff. I picked it out to ship. Some of the harder stuff is going to be on the next video because I don't want to do it today. But, that's at those margins, that's double my teaching salary. It's worth it to me. If I was a lawyer, it might not. Although if I was a lawyer, it might just for the psychological benefit. You got your treat. You want to go? Is that it? All right, you can go. Oh, Pepper's waiting. Oh, now you want to go. All right, there you go. And I don't want to squeak. I don't want to fix my squeaky door. I like it, man. And some people tell me, Care Bears or plush aren't worth it. And you know what? Sometimes you might be right. And this was one I paid like what did I pay? Like $3 a piece, and I bought a ton of them at one point. And some of them are really good. There was Care Bear cousins in there and stuff. This one happens to not be the best. I hate to say, it's Cheer Bear. I don't know why you're not worth so much, Cheer Bear. But this is an older one, I believe. This should be 83, right? Let's look. 1983, made in Taiwan. And it didn't sell for a long, long time. So we had to put it on discount, and it sold for $11.20 something. These I paid $1 for to sale down the road. I did get one in that higher dollar one, but it was a bundle deal, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to lose money. And I decided to put them together in 2 to make it a little bit less time when you bundle some things up. So this one only sold for $11.50 by shipping. And this was easy to find because she had already taken it out. That was really kind of her, because I hate digging through some of these bins sometimes. The camera bin can be a bear. Make sure that's the right one. Make sure we got the right one. We must have 2 of them. I'm not sure. Hold on a minute. Is that a Cyber Shot too? No, that's a Kodak. And this one, when I bought it, I thought, man, this is going to be really good. But it didn't have the cord, didn't have anything with it whatsoever. I was like, you know what, put it out there cheap. Let's get it going. I paid next to nothing for it. $2 for a bag of cameras is all I paid. That was crazy. $65 for that one plus shipping. So let's talk about burnout for just a second, because that's a topic that's come up a few times. So for me, because I do things the way I want to do them, because I've made it a focus of what I do to not change that much, even when social media came around, still do the when in doubt, part it out, still do the low dollar things, still do those things that I know I can go out there and find. I rarely strike out when I'm out at garage sales because I have that in my repertoire. And I know I'm going to at least make somebody. It might not be a home run weekend where I'm going to make $5 profit off of what I found, although those happen too. But it keeps me going, it keeps me happy, and it keeps me from burning out. When you start to do things like the live selling that I did get burned out when I was doing it on Whatnot, because I had a boss over there on Whatnot. I don't have a boss over here on my own sites. And we can do it as we need to and ramp it up and slow it down as we need to. Starting these other things, I do have a lot of irons in the fire. The thing that gets me, and that I feel like people, you really got to know your personality type, is when you start to do things with other people and they require things out of you and you require things out of them. And for those people who are like me, who the worst thing in the world is to let somebody down. I hate letting somebody down. Sometimes when you start to feel that burnout, you got to communicate that to the people that you're working with and just say, listen, hey, this is something that I need right now. I need a little bit of time. I need this. I need this. And start to refocus yourself on the things that really brought you the most amount of joy, and that'll get you re-inspired. So it is definitely a thing. There are a lot of resellers. The burnout comes with when the work is being put in and the results aren't coming in. And so you double your efforts and then they still don't come in. And then it's like, whew, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've been very fortunate to never feel that way. I shouldn't say never, almost never feel that way about the 2 things that happen to make me the most amount of money, reselling and social media. And those 2 things I will always prioritize for 2 reasons. One, because they make me the money that I need to survive and to provide for my family and do the things we want to do. And 2, those are the things that give me the most amount of joy of anything. Thanks to you guys out there, by the way. There's a lot of people out there who listen who never comment, and I appreciate you too. Matter of fact, let's do this. Would you folks who always do comment and say nice things and sometimes not so nice things, that's not even the bag I want to give away. Will you be honest and not comment here? If you have never commented before, I would really love to at least see your name in here one time, just so I can say thank you. A lot of times I get to know people just through the comments. I'm going to give away this bag right here. Reagan sells them over on Commonwealth.com, but I might have Reagan come down. Turner's not here. I'll go see how she's feeling, check on my wife. But if you have never commented on any of my videos, comment here and just put first time comment in there. And I just would like to see you and thank you for all you have done for me and my family. We're going to give that away to one of you. If I recognize your name and I draw it, I'm not going to give it to you. So don't cheat out there. All right, Reagan says she's making soup for Mama, and then I need to go to the store and get a few things for her. So I guess we're not going to have Reagan or Turner in this video, and that'll be just fine. And I need to do a little shipping here. I got to pull one more item. Let's do that. All right. We have another item I'm told never to buy. It's a waste of time. Vera Bradley bag. This one sold for just a shade under $18. It was not perfect. It was not just an awesome purse, but it's in pretty good shape. This is one that I would pay $1 for. I probably would not pay $2. Well, I might pay $2. It sold for $18 plus shipping. Looks like we do have a viewer sale today, and that was the Vera bag. I'm hoping that's the right bag now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think it is. Hi, Kevin. I started watching your videos in 2019 when I had to retire from my 30-year career in television news due to a progressive muscle disease. This kind of fits the topic today. I'm glad I'm reading this. I sell on eBay to downsize a lifetime of possessions and for something fun to do. There you go. Thank you for making my point out there. And I hope that your disease doesn't progress too quickly. For sure. My eBay is show-me-KC. Show me KC. I appreciate your perspective on the many issues you discussed. Thanks, Pam. Pam, thank you. I appreciate it, and we wish you well. And I got this the other day, and now I don't think I can find who gave it to me. Check that out. Commonwealth Beverage Dispensing Company. This went with this. I don't know if you sent me this, y'all. Please let me know. I'm so very sorry. I can't find somebody to thank you, but that's really cool. I appreciate it. And by the way, I just want to give a thank you to all those out there who are into, the plan to make $1 million a year and change your life and to get the warehouse and the 20 employees and all those different things. I'm very appreciative that some of y'all watch me, but I am likely going to continue to sell this kind of stuff. I love it that much. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to sell my Dick Tracy PVCs and my Noids and do all that. And still try and get those high-priced items and those mid-priced items and mix them in and make a living. So even on a bad day, in many different respects, between this and this, I'm making almost as much on this as I did on all of that stuff over there. And I'm going to make well over $325 today total on this and this. And it's an incredible blessing to be able to do that even when you're not selling. I mean, that's my highest price sold item today. So that's still a pretty decent amount of money. And only one of those items would have qualified for this person I was talking to the other day's requirement. Maybe two if you look in there, but... Anyway, thank y'all very, very much for watching, and I encourage everybody out there to take a moment, step back, and reevaluate what it is that you're doing it for, how much money you need. Obviously, I'm not saying just put your passion first. You got to put your family first. You got to put your income and your needs first. But after that step, put your passion first. I think you will find it more profitable, not just in the dollar part of the equation, but in the lifestyle part of the equation. So anyway, thank y'all for listening to me. And I got to get to packing. Actually, I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to go take care of my wife first. Then I'm going to come back. And I can't wait to see you.